from Shell Energy Stadium. It finishes 1-1. Sporting Kansas City go on the road against the Houston Dynamo and grab a point.
Missouri will set a school record for consecutive losses, and a bunny miss on the other end, emblematic of the way this thing started. It ended with a 42-point performance, and now drama between the coaches.
Victory today, 84-74. Kansas State wins.
KJ steps through, kicks to Johnny for three. He got it! Johnny Murphy from the corner, and Kansas back up 22 on Texas.
Good morning, Kansas City. This is the Border Patrol on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Thank you so much for joining us. It's Monday, February 22nd, 2024. Stephen St. John, Nate Bucati, and the Drake, Jason Justice, filling in for Jake Gutierrez, who I believe returns tomorrow. And so, Jake, thanks for filling in for another day for Jake, the Drake for Jake. So that's the trade we're making. So, but we appreciate it. I have no idea where Jake is. The conference, a get together.
An advancement.
I don't know what that is. So, you all right?
Oh yeah.
Doesn't sound like it. What's going on over there?
This allergy season's hitting me a little bit, but I'm all right.
A little bit.
That sound good?
Wow. Right into the mic.
There you go.
Morning, everyone. Now enjoy your breakfast.
Yeah.
So when did this start?
Friday maybe. It's been off and on. Traveling probably doesn't help.
Is this bad allergy season right now, or is this?
I feel like it gets a little earlier for me every year. With this warm weather right now, it's usually the tree pollen hits me pretty hard, so it's weird. I used to get allergies in the fall, and now I get them like right before spring. I don't know.
Yeah, Sue's always been really bad with allergies, but now she gets shots on the regular now, and it's helped her tremendously. And so I used to be able to judge by her, like, oh boy, allergies are getting bad, but now she's all right.
That's good.
Her and Julia both get shots, allergy shots, because they were really bad. But, no shots for you.
I used to take shots. I didn't have the best experience with them, so I stopped doing that.
Yeah.
But my allergies seem to hit me about once a year, and this seems to be that time of year, so. But we'll be all right. I just sound a little congested right now. I got some nose spray.
You want to spray your nose spray right now on the air?
No, I'm good.
Have you used it yet?
I a little bit of a saline spray rinse this morning.
You do that? Was that neti pot or whatever?
No, I've tried that stuff.
That didn't work. It never works on you, huh?
Well, I've read mixed reviews on what ends up happening with that sometimes. So
You did it though, or you read about it?
I did it, and then I read some stuff that could actually make things worse long term for the situation I have. Mm-hmm. So I choose not to do that these days. I just use the saline spray. That was advice of my doctor.
Doctor? Will you give a shout out to your doctor?
No.
Oh, why? Because it's not working, that's why.
Shout out Dr. Ruiz.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Ruiz.
Yeah. KCK
right.
guy.
How about some Big 12 basketball?
How about those Houston Cougars? Oof.
What about them?
I don't think anybody's catching them.
Well, you're giving up already, huh?
Well,
season's over.
I don't know that the season's over, but I felt like this weekend their game at Baylor was the game you had to hope if you're Kansas they would drop to keep you alive. that was the toughest game on paper anyway for them until for the rest of the year, really. So I guess they could still slip up at Oklahoma or Central Florida, but not
No,
likely.
it's over. You're right.
I mean, it feels over.
You were right the first time. It's over. You're not used to that
No,
as a Kansas fan.
no,
Usually other teams are having to say, well, it's over.
yeah.
How's that feel?
Unfamiliar. I don't know.
Angry? Are you angry?
No, I don't. I don't think this year's Kansas team is really Big 12 championship worthy. You know, they're a good team. They're a solid team, and maybe they'll put things together down the stretch, and maybe they'll be a good postseason team, which is a different thing than being a Big 12 regular season champion type of team. Because to win the Big 12, even before this expansion, you had to be the type of team that could withstand the entire gauntlet of playing in the Big 12 week after week. You know, it used to be you had to play everybody twice in the league. And so you had to have a team that was built to withstand everything. And you had to have depth and all sorts of mental toughness and, you know, different ways to beat teams. And I don't think this team was quite there, this Kansas team this year. And so, you know, what are you going to do? It's not fair to expect Kansas to win the Big 12 every year. They're still a good team. But it's a little disappointing. But Houston, they deserve it.
Houston went on the road and beat Baylor 82-76 in overtime. The other team that's battling for first place, I guess you could say, is Iowa State, because they're only a game behind Houston. They won at home against West Virginia by 7. Kansas stays 2 games behind Houston and a game behind Iowa State with their blowout victory at home against Texas. Texas Tech, they could have been tied with Kansas, but they blew it, and they lost by 14 on the road to UCF. BYU goes on the road, and they lose by 10 to Kansas State. And then TCU beat Cincinnati, and Bedlam, Oklahoma at Oklahoma State. Oklahoma wins in overtime 84-82. So their final trip to Stillwater was a winner. So I'm sure Todd Lebo very happy with that.
It's got to be tough to stomach for the Oklahoma State fans.
Yeah, they'll get over it. And then tonight there are 2 games, a doubleheader, none of which are overly exciting, but at least one local school is in action. West Virginia at Kansas State, so a chance for K-State to get another win. And then Baylor looks to bounce back from their loss to Houston, and they go on the road. Tough game against TCU. Both teams are 8-6. Both teams are 19-8 and 8-6. One team's 11th in the nation. The other team is unranked. So figure that out. And they play in the same conference. But we'll see. Let's see if TCU can make a statement tonight.
Yeah, TCU. Jamie Dixon does not apparently like to play anybody in the non-con, so they must be getting punished for that. But they're good. They're a tough team.
And Missouri didn't win.
Okay.
So I knew you were wondering about that.
Yeah, I forgot to check that.
Did you?
Did you feel like they might?
No. No. Some would say you don't have to check that. Honestly, I thought since they had played so well against Ole Miss and Tennessee, there was a shot because Arkansas is not very good. But then,
Right.
And they hung with them close game and then absolutely fell apart down the stretch. So got a real shot here. I mean, they've got at Florida. You wouldn't anticipate them winning that game. Home against Ole Miss. They only lost by 3 to Ole Miss on the road. And so they get home against Ole Miss, home against Auburn, and at LSU. So there's a real chance here, people, that they finish 0-18 in the conference. So let's see if they can do it.
Got to win that Ole Miss game.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. They'll take any of them, but
How much do you care if they win one of these games?
I don't. I do not.
Doesn't matter.
I know people get all wrapped up in 0-18, but really, are you gonna? You feel like so much better if they're 1-17. Like, wow, they got that win.
If I was on the team, I would. I would definitely. One win would mean a lot.
Yeah.
If I was a coach or a player.
Well, I'm not on the team,
Right.
so I don't. I mean, sure, I want them to win, but I mean,
Right.
what difference? I don't like. What difference does it make? They're still going to be in last place. If they're going to do something, do it well. So go 0-18.
I've been a part of a winless season. The first year I ever did the KU women's basketball games, they went winless in Big 12 play, and that was miserable. That was a miserable year.
It's not a lottery based on luck. You have to go out and win the game, and so if you don't win the game, I mean, if you don't, you deserve to be 0-18. You are, your record is what you are.
Yeah.
And so wishes and hopes and everything else they're all great, but you got to go out and win it. They've had multiple games they've had a chance to go out and win, and they're not good enough to do it. And so they're 0-18. That means they were just a terrible basketball team. And there's nothing else that could be said. Sweeping changes need to be made. And so, it's going to be fascinating to see what the new AD thinks of this.
I just think it's fascinating that this is happening because, boy, it just seemed like Dennis Gates was a home run hire this time last year.
Well, you rely on the transfer portal, and the two best transfer portal gets barely play for you because of injury. That'll happen.
Yeah.
And the guys that were contributors for you last year are forced to step up into alpha roles, and that's not what they are. You had two guys that are, you can call NBA players, and I mean, how good was Kobe Brown? Kobe Brown was good enough to be all conference and be in the conversation to be one of the best players in the conference last year. And Demoy Hodge, I mean, John Sundvold was on the show and said that he thought Demoy Hodge should be SEC Defensive Player of the Year. And he was one of the, hottest three-point shooters. When he was going, he could score in bunches. You take those two guys off that team and you don't replace them with, I mean, look, was Caleb Grill and John Tanji going to be as good as those two? No. But Tanji averaged, almost 15 points a game last year, and Caleb Grill was going to help. And combined, they basically offered nothing. So but that's not it. That's not the whole story, but that's where it starts.
Yeah, they wouldn't be winless.
No.
I don't know how good they'd be, but they wouldn't be winless.
Aiden Shaw hasn't developed like people had hoped. The freshman class has not produced like people had hoped. And then, other players were exposed in the expanded roles that they were thrust into. And I bet Dennis Gates will tell you that he hasn't done a great job of coaching. It's been a team effort to get to this point. So what about Sporting with their 1-1 draw again? What am I supposed to call it, draw or tie?
Either one. They mean the same thing.
1-1 tie against Houston.
Yeah, I came home and watched that game yesterday because I was out of town doing a different game, but they took a lead in the game. I thought it was a pretty good performance by Sporting. They had a couple of breakdowns defensively at the end of the game. But anytime you get a draw or a tie away from home, I think it's for the most part a good result for Sporting KC. So
they're supposed to be better this year.
Houston or Sporting? Well, I would say Sporting because Houston, the one thing that if you want to be negative about it from Sporting's perspective is that Houston are missing their best player, Hector Herrera, who is Mexican star, who really turned Houston into a really, really good team last year. Sporting lost in the playoffs to Houston last year on a controversial no call as well. But Ache, as they call him, was a great player, and he's out. He didn't play, and their star striker two of their best offensive players didn't play. They were missing some of their best players, Houston. And Sporting were pretty much healthy going into the game. So,
The Sporting should have won.
I mean, it's an away game in Major League Soccer. It's hard to win away from home. I would say they probably feel like they should have because they had the lead, and they didn't hold on to it. They gave up a goal. I didn't think Sporting created a ton in terms of chances in the game themselves. So they didn't really deserve to me more than the one goal that they got. And they needed to close it out with a little bit better of a performance defensively, I guess, and they weren't able to do so. But overall, like I said, if you come away with a point away from home against a division rival, that's usually a positive. So they got a tough game coming up at home against Philadelphia. Philadelphia have been one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference over the last few years. They've got a veteran coach. They got a bunch of players that have been there for a while that know how to win. So this is going to be a tough game on the home opener for them coming up this weekend. Media Day is tomorrow for Sporting KC, by the way. So I'm going to go out there and try to get us some interviews and things like that. So,
what do they do for Media Day? Do they do anything special?
I don't know. I don't think. I mean, basically, they let you come out. They actually have training at Children's Mercy Park instead of at the Compass Minerals training facility. So you get to watch them have practice on the field. They usually put out a bunch of food, nice food options for the media, and then they bring out all the players so that you get a chance.
Go back to the food part of it. Like what?
Yeah. Oh man, they
like sampling from the concessions or
no?
Just...
Well, I think a little bit of that, but like the big $high suites, the field suites downstairs.
But isn't that what they want you to do? Like, hey,
yeah,
look what's going to be available at this concession stand.
Yeah, that's usually part of it, but also like, hey, look what's available in the premium seating. If you come down here, you get delicious meatball sliders or.
That's all you get for the premium seating?
They have all kinds of stuff. That was the first thing I thought of from last year.
Okay.
I think they had street tacos last year. They had all kinds of stuff. So I assume that they'll have food for everybody tomorrow.
Do they give you a gift?
Sometimes.
Well, like what?
Could be a scarf. Could be a. I kind of don't remember what they gave us what gave everybody last year.
A notebook and a nice pen.
Could get that.
I'm
maybe.
just suggesting things. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to suggest things that would get more media out there. They should talk to me.
What would move the needle for you? I could
a
put
bag?
in a word for you. Okay. Like just like a nice.
Like a satchel or something like that, or something to carry your
okay.
iPad in. I'm just thinking of like cool gifts I've received as a member of the media in the past.
Yeah. Yeah, there have been a couple times I've gotten like a leather-bound notebook.
People used to give out backpacks and bags. Something like leather-bound notebook would be nice.
A leather-bound book.
Drake, what's the nicest media gift you've received over the years?
Oh, gosh, I remember when I first got to town, when I was still doing the music stuff, going out for media days and getting a personalized jersey from the Royals.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. Oh, yeah.
A long time ago. It was 96, maybe?
Like I remember the Big 12 used to give out like really nice remember that backpacks?
Yeah.
Or computer bags. Or like leather-bound notebooks. I like a leather-bound notebook. Or like, what's it, like a binder where you keep a notebook in it? And
yeah, like the leather, like a folder
type.
type.
Like the Big 12 logo on it.
Yep. Yeah. I remember last year for the Major League Soccer All-Star Game, they gave us these like shoulder bag type things that had like pot for your cell phone in it.
There it is. There you go. Yes.
Like you could slide your cell phone in there and it's like almost like a man purse type thing, but it just goes over your shoulder.
I carry a man purse.
Yeah, like one of those, but a little bit smaller than that. Didn't have as many pockets as yours. Yeah, you got a lot of things.
That's
big time there.
I got all kinds of stuff in there.
Yeah.
Again, I bought this at the most bizarre place that you would never guess. I have no idea why they had this. But first of all, I was looking for another bag.
Okay. Because
the bag that I have too much stuff in it. And I have to have, I keep all my stuff organized. And I have to have different pockets. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pockets.
7.
And I have to, I keep my work stuff in, like, Lebo is always on me. Keep the microphone in there. I have a microphone that I attach to my phone. and then a charger and everything else. So if there's ever a chance where, hey, I wish I could interview this guy. Well, here I got
Yeah.
a microphone. I have 2 wallets.
Right?
One that's my wallet. One that I know that Susan and the girls, when they get into my bag, their wallet, that's my wallet, that has the credit cards to the different stores. Dad, where's the Kohl's card? Where's the JC?
Yeah.
So they don't get in this wallet. But somehow they get in that wallet too. They get in both of them.
Yeah.
Because on Friday I had cash, and on Monday I don't. And
No
I didn't-
cash.
I didn't spend any cash, so
Cash gone.
you do the math.
Yeah.
But I got medication, pens. I got all kinds of stuff. So that's a fine. But where do you think I bought this? Where I've recently been in the past several months. I still have no idea why this was for sale there.
Somewhere in Dallas at the Cotton Bowl.
No, somewhere in Dallas. That's a good guess there.
So was it a store, like just a regular store?
It was a store.
Like a TJ Maxx type of place?
Well, what would I be at TJ Maxx in Dallas
I don't know.
on vacation?
I don't know.
Hey kids, we're in Dallas. Let's visit TJ Maxx.
I don't
while we're
know.
here.
Dealey Plaza.
There it is.
Wow.
After we got done with the tour of the of the School Book Depository Museum and everything, that's
Yep.
what they call it. You know what I mean? So we get down. There's a gift shop. After we had spent 4.5 hours in there, and so I wanted to get they have cool things like commemorative coins, or stamps or things like that, or really nice books. And they have all these different books about the assassination or about the presidency or about presidents. And so I told the kids, hey, pick out something reasonable and, get a book or get, and like Selena wanted a commemorative coin to show that she was there and stuff. And so we're walking around and they just selling this utility purse. And it had nothing.
No logos.
There's no logo. There's nothing that suggests where I bought it. And there's no reason why it would be like, it's like something. This is the bag that the Secret Service wore. There was nothing. I even
What
asked,
a random thing to be
there was
selling.
no significance to it. I even asked the guy, like, what's the significance? He said, some people want to buy it. They're here walking around and, tourists.
They sell a lot of them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a touristy thing because a lot of people that are there,
Yeah.
that are tourists, that are on vacation, like, I could use this. So it's smart.
Yeah.
And here I am. I'm like, look at this bag. It's got 7 pockets and a secret pocket. And now the kids are like, get it, Dad. You can say you got it here.
Yeah.
And I go, of course. So I
love it.
I mean, I love it. I love the
Yeah,
bag.
it looks like
I just don't understand why it was sold. But I kind of do. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm like, they got me. That's what,
More gift shops at touristy places
Right.
should sell bags like that.
That's right. Because what are you doing when you're with your family on vacation, or whatever else? You're carrying a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
You're mobile. You're on the road, so you can carry.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm the only one. That
Maybe
bought it.
Sporting should give those away.
Today
is what
put
you're
a
saying.
Sporting logo on that.
Yeah. I like it. It does say here that lunch will be provided for media in attendance. So there's going to be an update on stadium upgrades that they've made.
What time is that going to be? I probably had to RSVP.
I'll bet you they. I bet you
what
they'd,
time is it,
let you
though?
come. It is at 11:30.
Well, I have a dentist appointment at 2 with Dr. Hake out here.
Okay.
A little work, a little follow-up work.
You don't want to miss that.
I know, but still 11:30, 12. How long will that last? I've got some downtime. I'm
Yeah,
not
probably.
going to
I'm guessing probably an hour and a half, maybe.
Maybe that work out. Let's see, 11:30, 12:30. Yeah. You don't want me there because you know why he didn't want me there?
I do want you
Because
there.
he's the big fish there. And then when I go there, it's not all about him.
It's still my spotlight.
It's exactly right.
Yeah.
I probably listen, Drake. I guarantee you, he does not want me there.
I do want
Because
you
then
there.
all of a sudden, not everyone's goo goo gaga over him, loving him up, buttering him up.
I don't know that I get that treatment even if
think
you're
you
not
do.
there.
I
But
think you do.
You do?
I've heard that you do.
who'd you hear that from?
You don't think I know anybody?
I don't know. I know you know a lot of people.
Yeah, I know people, and I hear that's how you're treated. So we'll take
Well,
a break. Yeah,
it's how I demand to be treated.
maybe I do show up now. Maybe this.
I would love that.
Maybe
They'd
this
be
is-
excited to have you there.
And I know this is reverse psychology. Oh, I'd love for you to go. Come on. Take a break. Back after this at WHB. Welcome back to the Border Patrol on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. Stephen St. John and Nate Bucati with the Drake Jason Justice. A little bit later, we'll be joined by Todd Lebo. He should be getting here any minute, and he'll discuss everything that happened over the weekend and just talk about life in general, life with Lebo. And then C.J. Moore from The Athletic will talk college basketball with us. And Andy Rogers, who covers the Royals for MLB.com, will be with us in the 9 o'clock hour. So a little basketball, a little baseball. But I wanted to talk about this weekend was, this was a weekend filled with emotions. I can tell you that for me. And so I think, I was talking Friday that my girls were confirmed at St. Gabe's on Friday night in a lovely mass. And then we went and ate Mexican food afterwards, which is always exciting for me. But I really wanted to be able to attend the wake for Lisa Lopez Galvan, and I couldn't because, of course, my daughter's confirmation mass. But man, did I see the Caesar was down there, my good friend Caesar, and some other people, Tom, and some other of my friends that graduated. We all graduated together with Lisa's brother from St. Pius, and they said the line out of the church was like several blocks long, and a several hours wait to get in. A tremendous outpouring of support. That's beautiful, obviously, and that meant so much to the family. And so then I did get a chance the next morning with Susan to attend the funeral, and it was at Redemptorist on off of 33rd and Broadway. And again, like the funeral was at 10 a.m. and I'm thinking, I'll get there at 8:45. That should be plenty of time. Get a spot and just be able to sit anywhere, And I'm an idiot because we got there right around 8:45, and parking. I mean, all the street, the streets were already filled. So the parking lot, any spot on the street. Thankfully, the VFW had agreed to allow anyone going to their funeral to they could park in their lot, which is across the street. So we found a spot over at the VFW in their visitor lot. And then when we got in there was no seats. And we were walking in right just before 9 a.m., an hour before the service even started. And it was, there was no seats. And then down the right side and the left side, the far aisles, people were just lined up so they could stand. And then we ended up getting seats in the usher's pew in the very back. But then all the way in the back, it was people probably 3 and 4 rows deep of just standing. And then it was 2 rows deep of people just standing on the side. And then I didn't see it. And then, people in the lobby and then out there were just there. And there was, you couldn't find a place for another person to stand, right? And the mass was just beautiful. Oh boy, was it! It was, it was obviously very emotional. But they had a mariachi band play several songs during the mass, and just it was. I even told Susan, I said, as soon as I hear that mariachi music, it's gonna be hard not to lose it. And it was, I knew, because her father is, I've said that before, is one of the most respected mariachi musicians in Kansas City, and just that was, and she loved it, and you knew that was going to be such a emotional part of the, and I love mariachi music anyway. It reminds me of my grandparents, and there's just something about it that's so soulful and connect with it. And when they played a couple of songs, and it was just this overwhelming feeling of emotion, you know. But there was also a sense of it was also inspirational too, because of so many people that were there, and you could tell what it meant to the family. And I was glad that I did get there early enough to where I went and found Hugo. And you guys, anyone that's listened to the show has heard me talk about him over the years. I went to school with him. He's been one of my close friends for, how old am I? I'm 51. So then, like 35 years, 36 years. That's crazy. I can't believe that, to say that. And that was Lisa was his little cousin. So I had a chance to see him and talk to him for a while. And he said, "You want to talk to Luther?" I said, "Yes." And Luther was her big brother that I graduated with. And I found him, and I'm so glad that I had a chance to spend some time with him before the service started. And then after the service, I had a chance to speak with Beto, her oldest brother, you know, and both of them. And I had a couple of people tell me that several of the fans, because Hugo reached out to me and said that he had a whole bunch of people contact him and tell him about the show that we did the next day, you know. And for at that point, a lot of people didn't know who had been killed and who Lisa was, or what her story was, or whatever else. And you know, we talked about that right away. And I felt like it was a difficult show to do, and I didn't want to do the show the next day, but we got enough feedback to where I thought that it made at least some type of positive impact. It was well received. But I was going to pass along to you. It was, Hugo said that so many people contact him and tell him that we were talking about Lisa and talking about the Lopez family. And so they wanted to hear it. And a bunch of the family listened to it, at least part of it on podcast. And then here they are, some of the family thanking me for the support and thanking us and everything else. Nothing to thank us for. But that really touched me. That meant a lot to me. And so you were part of that. So that should mean a lot to you too.
Yeah.
Because you never know. I mean, and like, and then you see, like, you know, Patrick Mahomes or Brittany Mahomes sent a big bouquet of flowers and had a message, and that was beautiful. Just all these different things that people did. All of it matters. All of it means something. All of it.
Yeah.
It was. Man, I've thought about this since Saturday to try to how to describe the feeling in there. I mean, it was so obviously so tragically sad, but at the same time, there was an uplifting element to it, because you could tell that members of the family were so overwhelmed at the amount of people that were there to support them and to put their arms around them. And so there was something beautiful about that.
Yes.
You know, and so it was a very unique feeling that, you know, and there was a lot of pride in there. Because they had asked for the people that went to the wake, they said the family wanted to have one more Red Friday for Lisa, because she loved the Chiefs so much. And so they encouraged people to show up wearing Chiefs gear, you know, because she would have liked that, right? And so that kind of carried over. There were some people still showing up in Chiefs gear, or like I wore a red hanky, Susan wore a red sweater, and it was just, I don't know, just the feeling of community, the feeling of, you know, her heritage when they played the mariachis, and just seeing so many people that were there to support the family. It was very impactful to be there. It was very emotional, but in a number of different ways. And then afterwards, you know, just I saw a lot of people that I knew, a lot of people that I grew up with, and you know, I didn't talk to him, but the mayor was there, and just, you know, some other people that were dignitaries. I'm kind of rambling now, but it was special. That's really all I can say. And there were some moments that were so sad that, it's heartbreaking. Like, is the only word. Because I probably don't even want to talk about it on the air. I'll tell you off the air. Just there were just some moments that were like overwhelming. You know, and so especially seeing her family and seeing her son, her daughter, and her husband. So, the community will continue to support them. We'll continue to do whatever we can. I talked to Luther. I talked to Bethel briefly about, we're going to get together and maybe talk about something with maybe a scholarship for somebody that wants to get into radio, because she was in the radio and that was her passion. And so we're going to figure something out. I'm going to get together with her brothers and do something,
Well, you and I have experience in helping people put together, or sometimes in certain cases us putting together our own memorial events for people that we've lost, so we can help amplify it. And I think that that's going to be big too. One thing I know is when something like this happens too, you know this, when you lose somebody that you love very much, the next year you have all these anniversaries that happen, right? Like the person's birthday, or the anniversary of when the person died, and things like that. And it's important for everybody to be there for Lisa's friends and family on all those moments. And over time, if you keep doing an event like that, like my closest frame of reference is obviously the Big Steps race when I lost my buddy Sean. And as time goes on, there become a lot more smiles than tears years after years, but there still are tears. There are still those moments where you cry and you think about the person, and you need to. Like, I look forward to those moments when I think about Sean. One of the lessons I think to take away from everything that happened. By the way, I'm really sad that I couldn't have been there on Friday or Saturday because I was out of town.
I just got a better sense of how it really hurt Kansas City.
Yeah,
the community was so,
yes.
and I think it helped so many people to be there, to be around each other, and it was just you could, I guess, a good way. You could just feel. You would think you would just feel the sadness, right?
Right.
But you felt so much love.
Yes.
In that church.
Yes.
That was what was inspirational, and that was what was wonderful. So.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the point. Is I always use the analogy that if there's a really dark cloud, you need some rays of sunshine. You need them, and for everybody in this city, but particularly the closer you got to Lisa, the more you need those rays of sunshine. And so I had a few different people, like when I went to the Sporting Kansas City season kickoff party last week, I had a couple guys come up to me and say things about the show that you and I did the next day, and how they really appreciated it. And a couple of them said, I was going to text you, but I didn't want to blow your phone up because I figured you probably had a lot. And I said, the thing I've kind of
I'm
figured
sorry
out,
I didn't return any text messages we had done that show. I apologize.
Yeah. But you know what? Did you resent any of those texts, or did you appreciate them?
I appreciate them.
Yeah. And so I think that's the part you remember. Like, I don't think you'll ever regret reaching out to somebody to see how they're doing, or to tell them that you love them. I don't think, because we all, I think, have been in a situation a time or two where it's like, man, I know a friend of mine's going through something, but he's probably overloaded with phone calls or text messages, and I don't want to bother him, so I'm going to leave him alone for now. At the end of the day, I don't think you ever regret reaching out to somebody to let them know that you care about them, and that, how many people did that this weekend, and how much does that mean to Lisa's family and to the people that went? Because the other thing, as much as you and I didn't want to talk about we didn't want to do the show that day, I felt so different by the end of that 4 hours than I did at the start of the show, because we talked about it. And I do think that's something that I worry a little bit like with my kids. I talked to them the next day when I picked them up from school, and I said, "Did you guys talk about what happened yesterday at all in school?" And they said, "No, not really." And that actually disturbed me a little bit because from what I understand, sometimes just talking about it and sharing your feelings and being open with and it doesn't have to be with a professional, even just with your friends or whatever, can be very therapeutic. It can really help.
It's good to reconnect with people because, I mentioned this several times last week. I mean, that her family, just the Lopez family in general, have been so cool to me over the years. And, there's so many people that I either went to school with or hung out with or just, such an awesome family, and I was at least glad I could see them and talk to some of them, and it was a day that a lot of us will never forget. We'll take a break. Back after this on WHB.
Sunday morning, I got a DM on Twitter from a guy I met in the bathroom at Allen Fieldhouse.
Hey.
So how do you?
But you know who this guy was?
Who?
He was head coach Lance Leipold. I had met him before, but we just happened to be. So, right before the game, I'm going in to go to the restroom,
Right.
like you do before the game.
Did he recognize you?
Well,
This is one of the fancy restrooms where only the fancy people
no,
get to
this
go?
was a regular restroom, but it was on the fancy side, the chairback side. And he had just got done washing his hands or whatever, and I was like, Coach, and I've met him before, but not a lot. But I, reintroduced myself, and we chatted for a second or whatever. But he is such a good dude. So, yesterday, I've got a Twitter DM saying, "Hey, it was nice to see you yesterday, Todd." I mean, just what a good dude. So I got a DM from on Twitter from a guy I met in the bathroom in Lawrence. That's how I'll say it.
How did you? Who knew who?
Well, I recognized him first. He was heading out to the game. It was almost game time.
So you bothered him in the bathroom.
Yeah, he was done though. Was done washing his hands, and then but he said,
Had you washed your hands yet?
I hadn't even gone
you
yet.
Went for the okay.
I was walking in. He was walking out. Anyway, so there you go. There's my story about getting a direct message from the guy in the bathroom. No, but we had a great time. We took some clients over there. We had Blue Cross Blue Shield. We had all weather decks. We had Twin Peaks people. We had who else did I say, Drake? No, I can't remember who all was there. Illicit. There we go. So we had all that. We had a good time. And we went to 23rd Street Brewery. We got to see Matt Llewellyn. Got to go to a Chalk Talk before the game where they told us, you know what they said?
Who are you
They said
anymore? Really, who are you?
Hey, I brought my wife too. She was,
I was going to say, what a complete, and there's nothing wrong with this, but what a complete sellout you are.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's fine.
It's for the station.
That's fine.
Sandy
this
asked
is what
me
you are.
2 months ago, hey, can you come do this?
What's Lance Sandy to say about this?
And so
what do
I
your
said,
Oklahoma people say about
he got
this?
to go watch Texas lose.
Well, that was the one. It was the thing that brought us all together. It was heartwarming to see some of the kids in the student section on the jumbotron-y thing throwing the horns down.
Yeah.
I mean, it warmed my heart. I
Yeah.
was like, they can't bring us all together. But it was a wonderful time with the clients, is what it was. We had a great time. Ate at 23rd Street Brewery. Got to. They said at Hawk Talk, it was Coach Q. They call him Quartermain. Is that his name?
Yeah, Fred Quarterbaum.
Yeah. I don't know how to say his name.
Close.
That's why they call him Q. They said they have the people, come in this little room, and it's the fancy people. We were fancy on this day, and they were going to tell them how they're going to win the game. You know what they said they were going to do? They're going to give the ball to the big kid, Hunter Dickinson. 'Cause
Wow.
Texas can't guard him. You know what? They were right. They just threw the ball to him 20 times.
Texas isn't very good.
They're not very good.
You know what I think?
That's the embarrassing part about this. We lost to Texas by 15 points at home. One of the worst
is embarrassing.
freaking games they played all year.
You know what's more
Because
embarrassing?
you know what we didn't do?
What?
We didn't guard their big guy. And then they got a little guy, number 3, who scored 3,000 points in his career because he played at Oral Roberts. He scored 5 points in this game because they guarded him, and Oklahoma didn't guard him, and he just shot 7 threes that
I
day.
don't need to hear your complaints. Do you have a conference win?
Several.
Do you have a, okay, then
We got a bedlam sweep.
Then I don't care. I don't
Did
wanna
you
hear it.
sweep your rival on the
No,
battle lines?
no.
How'd that go Saturday?
No. Football, yes. That's all that matters.
Yeah, we lost that one.
So, yeah, that was a tough one.
It wasn't good.
But here, this is what I'll tell you. I hope the Raiders and Antonio Pierce are watching Texas right now. Why do I say that?
Is it talking stuff?
No, Texas. Who's their head coach? Why did they make that
Sark.
hire? No, the basketball
Rodney
team.
Terry.
Good
Oh, okay.
God.
Oh.
The
I was talking about
basketball
football.
team.
Yeah, because he was there and they won some
hired
games.
the
He was a what?
He was interim.
Interim.
Like Romeo.
And they did pretty well, right?
Yeah, like Romeo
And they
Crennel
got
beat
emotion,
the Packers.
and they got all caught up in the emotions,
Yes.
right? And what do they do?
Then they've had a bad year.
And many people said, "Are you sure you want to hire him? Is it you're getting, you're letting the players
but
make the hire?"
at least he didn't go on a podcast and say they know how to beat Mahomes
right,
by beating him up.
right. But do you see my point though?
Yes.
That's the cautionary tale.
It is the
about that.
cautionary
How
tale.
often do you see that?
All the time.
I'm trying to think of a really good. I'm sure there's stories out there of an interim who turned out to be just awesome, but they're not jumping right to my top of mind here. You know what they didn't do at Mizzou
What?
when Quinn Snyder was let go? Who was the interim that time? Come on, say it. Melvin Watkins?
Yeah.
They didn't get tempted by the allure of Melvin
Well,
Watkins.
because he didn't win very much.
Oh,
So.
okay. That was different.
Don't you think Texas made a mistake or no? Or are you
Right
on
now,
this
it looks
Rodney
like it.
Terry
Absolutely looks
bandwagon?
like it now. Absolutely looks
Because
like it
that
right
record does not equal the talent that they have. It doesn't
No.
seem like. Or am I wrong?
No.
Or are they just not as talented?
I think they have plenty of talent. They have two.
Didn't Texas Tech keep their interim last year and then fire him?
No, they did not keep. Their interim was like just 2 days though.
Oh, okay.
Because as the Mark Adams, it was like during the Big 12 tournament.
Oh, okay.
Remember?
Yeah.
That he got in trouble. What was his? He was some. I can't remember what Mark Adams' controversy was. It was something racist though.
Yeah.
I believe.
Wow.
And then they hired that Grant McCaslin. He was at North Texas or something.
Yeah.
He's a Scott Drew assistant.
Yeah.
Over the years, he's like a Jerome Tang guy.
They had a disappointing loss over the weekend.
But they were freaking down by 12 points or something and came back and had the thing. Had a free throw to win it. 58% kid goes to the line. Didn't work well. The same thing happened in Bedlam. They had at the line at home. In OT in regulation to win the game. Couldn't make it though.
Do you care that that's the end of the rivalry?
Yes. I love Bedlam. I think it's dumb that Oklahoma's going to the Big 12.
It's over.
Leaving the Big 12, going to the SEC.
Why don't you continue Bedlam? Does
I would
Oklahoma
like-
want to?
Yeah, I think they would like to play
Does
it.
Oklahoma State say no? You left.
It's
no.
not quite like KU Missouri 10 years ago or 12 years ago. But Mike Gundy said some things like that. Why would we play them? You know. So
Because it's fun.
we'll see. I think there's a path forward in basketball more than football. Football gets
There's only so
pretty
many
difficult.
football games to play.
Yeah, that's
You
the
only
thing.
get so many non-con games, you know.
And the Big 12 actually plays 9 league games, so that makes it a lot harder. The SEC at this point this year is still only playing 8, which is still a joke. This league that you're in, Steven,
It's not a joke.
It is a joke.
You're
It's
in
an
the league,
absolute
too.
joke. Now, I'm not till July 1st.
You are
Right now,
now.
I'm going to poo-poo on
You know
the
what? He's going to be
SEC.
right on board by
right.
July.
I'm
It's
on-
smart to only play.
I'm on
Right.
record saying you best play 9. If you have 16 teams in your league, they're going to play 8.
Got to get that extra game in against the Citadel.
I mean, the Citadel can't play themselves, you know. I can't wait. Oklahoma's got Maine coming in next year. They're
Black
right into
Bears.
they're right into SEC love. Bring the Maine Black
Hey, Mizzou
Bears
played
in.
K-State and Memphis last year. Those are 2 good teams.
Yeah,
Beat them both.
they did.
They
Who was
didn't-
their?
they didn't
Who
take-
was
they
their?
didn't take the soft touch.
Who was that other soft touch?
Who
They played one
cares?
of them. They got their softie in there.
Whatever.
Oklahoma's playing Houston next year. They have a Big 12 game next year. So there you go.
You gonna hang out now, or do you think your work's done? It's not. Back after this on WH.